Hello guys, this is Gene. I thought I'd do something a little different. I've been doing a couple of videos this week about, the transgender and the cookery of the week and all that. But I want to do something else. I want to talk a little bit about the fights. My last video, I asked who do you got on Saturday. And I told you I want TC to win, but I'm going to go over the main card, and I'm going to give you my thoughts and who I think is going to win. Hopefully, I'll do this without emotion and just be factual on it. There are guys that I want to win some of these fights based on how they play or how they fight, and also how the guys really are in life. And something before, we don't really know these guys. I guess we know a little bit more about John Jones and a little bit about Daniel Cormier. They usually put themselves out there, so you kind of know who they are, but you don't really know if they're good or bad people. So some of my picks might be based on how I think about these people, but I don't know them. They're not my friends. So we'll just go ahead and I'll give you my thoughts on the card, and I'll give you my predictions. And please, if you have any comments below before the fight, let me know. And maybe we can do something else on the channel to do a little more sports, as the soccer team, our soccer season starting to start up in England soon, and I'll be doing that as well. Try to get our message out there, not just from a political side, but also from a sports side, and how that relates to life in general. So let's start it. Obviously, it starts on this Saturday, and we're in Anaheim, so it's a little different than normal. This is kind of cool. The first fight on the main card is Jimmy Manawa against Volker. I can't even say his name. Demera. I don't know a whole lot about Volkan, but I know a little bit about Jimmy Manawa. And Jimmy Manawa is really the next in line after the John Jones fight for DC. If DC beats him, then I do believe that he's going to see him next. Although I think that there's a possibility, and nobody's not really talking about it. In fact, I think what I've heard is that if John Jones wins, that maybe that DC will retire, because he's basically been saying that really all that's left is for him to beat John Jones. I would not be shocked if DC looks really good and beats John Jones, that DC might actually call it a career, because he's got a lot of things going on, especially working for Fox. So it's going to be interesting. I think that Jimmy's going to win. He's a better fighter, and he does have one punch knockout. His demolition of OSP was pretty impressive. I don't think he's at the level of Daniel Cormier, but if Daniel wins his fight on Saturday and he goes in and he lets down against a guy like Jimmy, he could get knocked out. Now again, I don't think he will. This is a guy that's dealt with guys that are over 250. So we'll see. But I'm going to say Jimmy in that one. The next fight is probably the best fight overall. Robbie Lawler and Cerrone. Donald Cerrone. Good Lord, I can't talk. I like the fight, and I think overall they're very evenly matched. I think that overall, as MMA fighter, I think Donald is a better. But there's something about dealing with being beat up and coming back and winning a fight. I think that one of the flaws that Cerrone has is that once he gets hurt, whether it's in his gut or in his head, I'm not going to say he quits, but he kind of does that. When he realizes it's done, he basically just lets it go, and he loses. I don't think that Robbie does that, and I think Robbie needs to come back after what happened with Tyron Woodley. I think that it'll be a nice fight. I think it'll go after each other. I don't know that Cerrone can actually finish Robbie Lawler, unless now Robbie has been in so many wars right now. Maybe his draw can't take it. So it's possible that if Cerrone hits him with a kick, it might be enough. I mean, I was kind of shocked that he knocked out Matt Brown. So we'll see. But I'm going to take the former champion. The guy actually was a champion. Cerrone has never been one. I think that Lawler he's got more deep down inside to just keep going on. If it's a really, really close fight, if it goes to the third round, and it's unfortunate this is not going 5, but if it was going to 5 rounds, clearly I would take Lawler. And I think the only reason that Cerrone might win is because it's only 3 rounds. But I think if Cerrone gets hit and he has to struggle, I think that's pretty much the end of the game. As much as I'd like to watch him, and he's a great fighter, he doesn't have the heart that Lawler. And everybody expects it's going to be a great fight. So I'm going to say Robbie Lawler is going to win, even though I like Cerrone. So the next fight after that, I do believe is a title fight, and I think it's is it? Oh, I don't think this is what they should do. Now I don't know if this is true. They may change it. I think that actually that Woodley is the co-main. I don't think it's fair. I think that Chris Cyborg should be above Tyler Woodley. Woodley is not a draw. I'm sorry. But we'll talk about Chris Cyber and Tanya Abergin. I can't say it. Both of these guys are champions. I mean, obviously that Chris Cyborg is at a higher level than any other women in his division. I don't think this is going to be a close fight. I've watched the other girl. She's good. She's kind of like Ronda when Ronda got into the UFC. Nobody could touch her. And over the 2 years that she was dominating, girls got better. They realized how to defeat that type of person. And now Ronda wouldn't probably be in the top 5 in the division anymore. And I think that Chris Cyborg is so much better at this point. This girl is not as fast. She doesn't have the power. Now, the only way that she has a chance of winning is if she gets her down. But I think that Chris is so strong while she's on the ground that, and she's fighting at her normal weight. I just don't think. I don't think it comes out of the first round. I hope that the girl is Tanya, actually does a good thing and does as much as she can for her stock. If she does really well, and it's a war back and forth, and then she ends up losing, it'll help her financially later in life. But this is Chris, and this is what she wanted to do forever, regardless of how she looks and her past. Other people that are fighting on this card have had a problem with steroids, so if she's allowed to do it, I think she wins within about 2 minutes of the first round. If it goes out of the first round, I'd have to look at the betting. I would think that you would get a lot of money if she gets out of the first round, but I'm going to say within 2 minutes of the first round, and then she'll be able to defend her belt, maybe against Holly, maybe against if Randame wants to come back. And we're going to find a lot of girls that are a little bit bigger than the 135 that'll come in, and we'll see more fights for Chris Cyborg, and that's what we need to see before she decides to retire. So it is nice to see somebody with that type of talent, regardless of what she looks like. But anyway, I'm going to take Chris in the first round. The co-main event is the champion is Tyron Woodley, and he's going against Damian Maia. I really believe that Tyron's going to win this game or match. I don't like the man personally because he's from Ferguson, which is very similar to where I grew up. Of course, he's a lot younger than me, but he has this whole thing about the whole institutions against him. And yesterday at the press conference, somebody in the crowd had to bring it up too, saying, "Oh, you're not really being promoted as much as some of the other people on here." And I'm like, dude, the guy does not sell out anything, and I'm sorry, he's not that great of a fighter. Oh, he's a good fighter, and I think he's going to win. I just don't think Damian Maia is going to. If he gets hit, I think it's over. And as bad as he played or looked, and I'm talking about Woodley here, as badly as he looked against somebody, Wonder Boy, that he didn't really do anything, but he did enough to win. I think he'll do the same thing with Damian, and if Damian gets in near him, I think that Damian's going to get knocked down or knocked out. Now, it all will change if they're on the ground, and Damian Maia can submit anybody, but he didn't do the last last fight he went against. So we'll see. I'm going to take Tyron Woodley. I think around the second round, I think he's going to knock him out. I think the longer it goes, it's better for Maia, even though he's the older guy. The fact that if you give him more time, that is a possibility. At some point, he's going to get you on the ground. And once he's on the ground, he is the greatest ever on the ground. So, but I'm going to take Ty on road. It's not his time to lose it. And the UFC doesn't really want him to lose it right now. Even though I don't consider him as a draw. Maia is not a draw either. So they want to set up the GSP thing. And I don't think GSP can deal with him either. But I don't know. We'll see. So I'll take Tyrone there. Now in the final fight, it's going to be DC versus John Jones. You know in my previous video that I want DC to win. But is that who I'm going to vote? If I actually have to put money down on it, I don't know who. I think that John Jones has a couple wars that he's had against a couple people in the ring. Wouldn't really say that the Daniel one was, although it was a tough fight for him. Obviously, the Gustafsson was his hardest fight, and he dudded that out. But we don't know for sure what we're going to get here. If we get the guy before he was suspended and all that stuff, how he fought against OSP, there's a good chance that Daniel will win. I do believe that the first fight, people say that John won easily. Until the eye poke, I thought that DC was doing very well. I thought that John won the first round. I thought DC won the second round. In the third round, I think that's where the eye poke happened. And at the time that it happened, I think that DC was doing well. And I think he might have been up 2-1. But by the end of that round, John Jones took over the fight, if I remember correctly. And then the last two rounds, as it looked to me that he was in better shape. And I think that DC got a little bit frustrated. And I don't think he was ready for the last 4 or 5 rounds. I don't know if he didn't train long enough for it. He says he's better now. I don't know for sure, though. I mean, that's he's going from, he's 38. We'll see. John looks good. I mean, physically he looks great. But DC looks good too. He looks good coming down on fight weight. He doesn't have to look or lose a whole lot of weight. And I know how important this is to him. This is a pick 'em for me. And I don't think that unless somebody just absolutely gets hit with something or they get submitted, I just don't. This is going to be a decision, and I don't know that John Jones would ever lose a decision. I thought he lost to Gustafsson, but they gave it to him anyway. And I think that in that scenario, I think that John Jones is going to win in a very close fight. So close that a lot of people are going to say that DC won, and that will set up the third fight. I don't really see that if DC gets beat pretty easy, I don't see them fighting for the third time. The only other way I can see it being going to a third fight is if DC won, and a close fight, but he won then we'll come back. So that's really my thought. I just want to say something about Chael Sonnen. I was listening to his little podcast, and he's saying that this fight will not get more than 1 million pay-per-views. He thinks it's going to be like 400 or 500, 600,000. I think that's crazy. He's saying that the Mayweather McGregor fight is overshadowing it. I've been everywhere on YouTube. They've been showing this build-up to this fight, and everyone FS1 they've been showing the fight. So I think that the build-up is fine, and I think it'll get over 1 million. It's not going to be McGregor money, but it's going to be below that, and it's going to be a good pay-per-view and all that stuff. So if you have any questions or you want to talk about your picks, let me know. Just let them down, and we'll find out after the fight on Sunday who's was right. Again, I would say John Jones by decision, Woodley by knockout, Chris by a knockout, Lawler by a knockout, and Jimmy by a knockout. I'm asking for a really good. If that's true, if we have 4 or 5 knockouts, that'll be a good night. And the main event could go to 5 rounds. Very good. So, okay, you guys have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you later, and we'll discuss what happens in the fight. Bye.